Hey, what's up, everybody? Marty here with Golf Strategy School, and today is another Golf Coach Reacts video. And today we have a video swing review from Michael Kendrick. Michael says, still struggling with the slice, and any advice would help. So let's get into it. All right, so Michael says he's got a slice. He's still working on it. One thing I will say right off the bat here, it looks like the camera is kind of lined up on the ball rather than the hands. So I think our line is somewhere out here where ideally it would be kind of in the hands region. So let's take a look here. Sounded pretty solid. Let's go again. Okay. One more time here just for good measure. Want to see one more thing here at the top. Okay. Got it. Let's come back to the beginning. Okay, so again, the way this works, in case you haven't been here for any of the other Golf Coach Reacts videos, but if you haven't and you want to check more of them out, I'll go ahead and drop a little card here for you to check out that playlist. But what we do here is I share all the good things that I see in the swing, and then I will do some swing analysis about what I think could be improved. And then in the comments below, you let me know what I missed, and I will go ahead and pin the top comment that I feel really kind of lines up the most with what else I was kind of thinking. So with Michael here, we've got, like I said, camera looks like we're lined up on the ball, so it's giving us a little weird forced perspective here. Should be in on the hands, but coming through here, it looks like we've got some real nice kind of separation coming back. You know, like I always say, I like to see a one-piece takeaway, and it looks like we have everything moving at once. So that is fantastic. I really, really like that. And again, like you've seen me point out in a couple other videos, we're keeping the face closed to start, which is awesome. The more we keep the face closed at start, the less work we have to do to get it closed at the bottom. So that's awesome. Coming up, as we're getting back to the top, we're not over swinging, which I like. You know, club doesn't quite get to parallel at the top of the swing, which is totally fine. That is 100% okay. Matter of fact, I find that people get in more trouble when they really crank it John Daly style and they come way past parallel, because again, then we're introducing more variables. So I really like the not only the, I guess, limitation, the control of the backswing here, but also let's look at our hip turn here. We're getting deep. We're getting deep into that hip turn. We see that hip rotate way back. That is awesome. So that's really setting us up for a lot of possibilities. Again, let's just watch this right hip as we rotate coming back. You see that sucker just turn way back. A lot of people, they slide and they drift instead of turning. So that is a really, really good sign. That's something that's super duper uncomfortable for a lot of people. Now I know if you have watched some of my other videos, I've criticized people about straightening their back leg. One of the things that we do tend to see when you actually do get that good deep hip rotation is sometimes that leg does straighten up a little bit, but I think we still have some flexion here in that leg, which is awesome. But yeah, real good deep hip turn. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And then coming through, you know, we've talked a couple times before about getting some squat into the ball so we can really, really coil. It looks like our hips, right now, it looks like our hips are probably just at square to the ball or square to the target line, maybe just a little bit past, and we're starting to rotate. Let me see if I can catch that frame right when we're making contact here. So this is a nice job catching that impact frame. You know, our hips, we can see that they're a little bit past the ball, which is awesome. Our shoulders are opening up and they are getting square up to the target, which is another really good sign. Uh, really, really like that. So those are the things that I kind of see as our top takeaways, and a nice solid finish position. Really looks like we also have some good balance throughout the swing, which is a very, especially with driver, a very, very underrated kind of fundamental skill. A lot of times you'll see people kind of rock, even if they don't kind of slide back and forth, you'll see them rocking heel to toe, and that can have some influence on ball flight as well. So a lot of really, really good things here. Um, if we switch to what I notice and what I think we could fix right off the bat, and again, it's tough to see with the camera angle here, so forgive me if this is a little off, but when I'm looking here, you see if I can get my drawing tool to work. Nope, drawing tool doesn't like me. Let's see if I can come down here. There we go. Okay. We got our toes pointed out in this direction. And it looks like we've got our hips. You know, I'm assuming that our target is somewhere in this general area since you're lining the camera up behind the ball. So it looks like our toes, you know, because if we make that 47-degree railroad track so they're parallel lines, you know, it looks like we're actually aimed out to the right of the target. And what our hips are doing, our hips and our shoulders are actually pointed more down the target line. What this does, though, to have that contrast between hips and or not between hips and shoulders, but between feet and shoulders, what this does is this kind of encourages us to come across and cut across the ball. So what I would like to see you do, get the toes a little bit more at the target line. The real easy way to make sure you're on target every time is just get some alignment rods. Even if you don't have alignment rods, just grab like your 4 and your 5 iron or your 3 and your 4 iron and just lay yourself down a couple railroad tracks going down the target line. And that will help you stay much, much more consistent in your approach. And if you can have more consistency in your setup and your approach to your practice, that's going to give you a much more honest result, because you may be hitting the ball a lot closer to how you want to hit it. You may just be aimed out to the right. Now, you said you're struggling with the slice, and I can definitely still see a couple things in here that do contribute to that. But what I would like to have is I would like to see you, if let me draw our little kind of target out here again. If this is our target out here, what I would like to see, we've got our, you know, our target line like this, and our target line, whoops, like this. So we've got our train tracks going that direction. We've got our target in between our toe line and our club head line. Then what I would like to see you do is I would like to see your shoulders actually pointed out. This is going to sound crazy. Bear with me. I would like to see your shoulders pointed out to the right of the target. I know it sounds crazy, but I want your shoulders pointed out to the right of the target. The reason being is because when you really, what I do for me, when I really need to hit a draw, is I'll get myself set up, and my last move before I take that swing is just to rotate those shoulders, point them a little bit out to the right, because what it does is it gives us more room on our backswing. Let me get these out of here. It gives us more room on our backswing, and it gives us a lot more area to kind of get that shallowing out motion coming down. And what I see right at the top of your swing, and this is a guess, we've never talked, but this is a guess, I would bet that you have a pretty firm, and I don't mean strong as in like, you know, rotated underneath. I mean like physically strong grip with your right hand. That's what this looks like to me. Because at the very top of your swing, just as you're coming to the top, watch that club head. So we go from like a good position here, and then we keep going, and we just crunch like one more little bitty move. And what it does is it points that club head out to the right. This is something I struggled with so much as a kid. So much as a kid. Because I wanted that great big John Daly backswing. And because I was like 15 years old, I was as flexible as a wet noodle. I would come all the way back, and I'd come back so far that at the top of the swing, my hands would go, they would like rotate extra, and they would point the club to the right of the target line. And so the only way that I could uncoil would be to kind of whip and slap at the ball, creating an early release. And it looks like you do a pretty good job of not actually having too much of an early release. You're like right here, this, I love this. You know what? And again, I think we're just a little bit off here because of the camera angle. What I love to see in this spot is if this club head is right on, whoops, if this club, not the club head, if this shaft is right on your right forearm, then you're doing an awesome job shallowing out the club. I don't think it's as drastic as it looks right here because of the camera angle, but I do think even if we were to adjust the camera to its appropriate position, I do think that you would still see this shaft line above your right forearm. But a really nice, really shallowed out club is going to come and lay pretty much on top of that right forearm for a line. So that's kind of a goal to have. But I think part of this is also because of kind of like a dominant right hand, like gripping the club too hard with your right hand. And that's causing this, this kind of steering, pushing with your right side, trying to take that dominant position. So really, if we just kind of pair up, because like we get through the ball really nicely, but if we look at that finishing position as we're coming through here, normally we want that club head to finish out down the target line and then come up like this. But let's watch yours. You come inside. And that's because we've got that little over the top, that little outside in. And we're cutting across it. And that's what's getting the slice spin. And we're coming in with just an ever so slightly open face, which is what's causing it to start just a little bit right. So looking at this, it looks like it starts right, just a hair, and then it also still slices. Really, all I think you got to work on is starting those shoulders a little bit to the right of the target line before you take your swing. And really, you want to have pretty much 100% of your grip pressure happens in the last three fingers of your left hand. So one of the things, and I got, as you can see here, I got a famous gentleman next to you here, Jordan Spieth. So one thing I wanted to show you here, just some comparative spots. Again, we are fighting with that camera angle a little bit, but let's take you to the top. Let's take Jordan to the top. So this is where, and it's just that last tiny little frame here, that right there, that bumps that club shaft to the right of your target line. And if we look at Jordan Spieth, his toes going that way. Oops, let me get my straight line. His toes going straight up this way, and his club shaft is dang near right on top of it. So that's really something that I'd like to see you work on. Some of it's going to be just kind of loosening up that right hand, because I think you're kind of steering it with that right hand. The other thing is, as Jordan comes down, look at that. He's got that club shaft almost perfectly, if we leave that here, almost perfectly on that right forearm as it shallows out, and then it even dips below. So those are the two differences, and that's what I noticed the most in between your two swings. But really, you've got a lot of great fundamentals here. Like I said, really nice deep hip turn. Let's look at Jordan's hip turn coming back. That's a really good similarity. You see your leg straightens up just a little bit. His leg straightens up just a little bit because he gets that right hip moving back really well. Honestly, you got your right hip coming back more than Jordan Spieth's. That's saying something. That means you got some really good hip flexibility, and it's something that I would say is a strength in your swing. Honestly, to the point where maybe you're a really flexible guy. Maybe you actually have to work on not not over rotating those hips. Let's start with just the shoulders because that's the easiest thing to fix. Okay. If that fixes it, we're good. Play with that. If that's not quite getting that draw for you, then let's work on that top of the swing position. Again, I really think it's just too strong on your right hand. And once we get that coming through, I think if you really just kind of focus on basically just holding onto the club with the last three fingers of your left hand, it'll really, really help you shallow out that swing without putting any like mental swing positional thought into your mind. So hopefully that works. If this is something that you have enjoyed, I'd really appreciate you hitting the like button here because that way we can get it out to more people, get some more swings reviewed. Otherwise, if you think I've missed something, let me know in the comments below. But remember, Fonzie rules. Don't be a dick. All right, everybody, take care.